Hey guys, Dalek44 here. I need no introduction, but I got one anyway. What can you say about Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends? No, I'm serious. What can you actually say about Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends that most people like myself haven't said already? It was by far one of the greatest British children's television shows of all time. Part of it was to do with the myths of the Audrey stories, the original stories by Britt Allcroft and David Mitton, the realistic-looking models, except for the people, of course, the narration, be it even Ringo Starr or Michael Angelis, and the catchy theme musics by Mike O'Donnell and Junior Campbell. There's no doubt in my mind that Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends was one of the greatest children's television shows of all time. But I'm not here to talk about the show, because God knows how many times I have talked about it in Thomascember. I'm just here to raise the question, which is, why blame Thomas for a lack of women drivers? The reason that I'm asking this question is because after Christmas, an article in the newspaper caught my eye recently. In fact, I have the newspaper article right here, look. I was actually quite surprised to see this in the newspaper while I was on my little holiday in Centre Parks before the new year. I was even more surprised to see that they actually used the Series 2 picture. Imagine that. But if you can't see it very well, I can read it to you if you like. Right. Wait a minute. If I'm going to read something, I'm going to need the proper equipment. There we go. Okay. Thomas to blame for lack of female drivers. Children's favourite Thomas the Tank Engine has been criticised by the Shadow Transport Secretary for encouraging only boys to become train drivers. Slight exaggeration. Mary Craig Mary Craig described the lack of female train drivers in Britain as a national scandal. Bit of an overreaction. And said children's television programmes such as Thomas and Friends are partly to blame. An even bigger overreaction. There are almost no female engines, she said. The only female characters are an annoyance, a nuisance, and in some cases a danger to the functioning of the railway. An even bigger overreaction than the other two overreactions. Just 1,000 women, equivalent to about 4.2% of train drivers, are women. Mike Whelan, General Secretary of ASLEF, the train drivers union which is campaigning for more female and ethnic minority train drivers, said, "These figures show that there is plainly something wrong in this era of professed equality." Slight exaggeration, I'd say. Hit Entertainment, which owns the rights to Thomas and Friends, said more female engines are in development. You heard it from me, so what do I say to this? It's bullshit. Yes, apparently this Mary, whatever the hell her surname is blaming Thomas the Tank Engine for a lack of female drivers in the country. And I think that's really stupid, to be honest. I mean, if you blame a TV show like Thomas the Tank Engine for a lack of female drivers, then that's kind of like blaming Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for encouraging kids to fight with weapons. Though that was the case back then, I heard, from a friend. Or blaming Animaniacs for causing kids to use common household objects as dangerous weapons. But I've never really heard that argument made because the show always taught kids valuable lessons, like the useless fat stuff and the wheel of morality and all that. But if you keep blaming kids shows for silly things like that, then God knows what can happen next. I don't know, maybe Homer Simpson would be blamed for encouraging people to be fat, lazy bums all their lives, or maybe Peter Griffin would be blamed for causing people to fight chickens for no reason. Or Doctor Who could be blamed for people trying to build their own time machines. Though actually that would be cool. Or I don't know, people could blame Horrid Henry for encouraging kids to be horrid. Though that would actually make sense since Horrid Henry is a selfish little brat with no good parts about him. Even though I'm not a fan of the show, I have seen very few episodes on CITV. And seeing the character Henry, I can honestly say that this guy has no good parts about him. He's just a selfish little brat who cares about no one except himself. And if people blamed him for causing kids to be naughty, then I could understand that, because he's horrid in every episode. And though he may get good luck in some episodes, there are some episodes where he just doesn't get the luck he wants. So that argument I don't think would be made, because Horrid Henry shows us that all bad kids don't come out on top all the time. Or hardly ever. So it's my professional opinion, which isn't exactly that professional, that you shouldn't blame a children's TV show for lack of female drivers in the world. And another reason that this argument is stupid is the fact that the drivers are absent from 2004 onwards. I mean, in pretty much every episode of Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends from Series 8 onwards, the drivers were barely in it. So, yeah, it's just stupid, because the drivers are barely in the show these days. I mean, we all know that Thomas the Tank Engine is a fictional show, and I think a lot of people forget that Thomas was actually based on a book series called the Railway series. Because the show has been on for so long since 1984, I think a lot of people forget that it was based on a series of books, so they blame the TV show for little things like a lack of female drivers. Well, a lack of female drivers isn't exactly a little thing, because I agree, all genders should be allowed to drive trains. I mean, if a woman wants to drive a train, then I say let her. Yeah, just let women drive trains. It'll be a great experience for them. I mean, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a train driver too. But I wasn't just encouraged by Thomas the Tank Engine to want to be a train driver, no. I was also encouraged by a lot of train documents I've seen as a kid, such as the Classic Train series and the Glorious Days of the Express Steam Train VHS, and even the VHS which shows us the Australian railways which still have steam trains on it. So basically, if you are a female and you want to become a railway driver, then don't think that Thomas the Tank Engine is encouraging only boys to do it. Just go out there and do it. If you want to do it, then do it, and if you don't, then just don't. Just don't go blaming kids shows for it, okay? It's not real life, it's fictional. And if you're a man or a woman who grew up loving steam trains, then you're gonna love driving one. I mean, when I drove a steam train years ago, I loved doing it. And I'm not sure I'll be able to do it again because it costs a lot to learn how to do it properly. I mean, mine was just a one-day beginner course, but it just proves that I can do it if I want to. So yeah, let women drive trains. Just don't keep blaming children's TV shows like Thomas the Tank Engine for it. It's just stupid. I'm Dalek44, and I'll see you next time, folks.